What's up, guys? This is Doctor, and welcome to another episode of the FPL Fantasy. We have a big episode for you today because we have a guest with us, guest with experience, guest with YouTube presence. So feel free to drop him a like on his videos, subscribe to his channel, follow him on Twitter, and of course, this person is FPL Penguin, aka Calvin. Calvin, thanks for doing this.
Hello, lads. Thank you so much for inviting me on. Looking forward to chatting to you in this video.
Of course, this channel is not the same without my co-host, the thumbnail goat, Joe. How are you, Joe?
I'm doing really good. I'm really excited to have our man Calvin, FPL Penguin. Make sure to check him out, like Doc said. Like and subscribe to his channel, but before you do that, don't leave our channel. Like and subscribe us first, then go on over to his. He's an absolute legend. If you have been on his YouTube channel, he is pumping out videos every single day, just getting views like crazy, putting us under the table right now for per week views, but we're not counting. Who's counting? I'm ready to get into this. I'm excited. FPL's launched. Doc owes me $5. Let's do this, baby.
And if anybody's wondering why do I have to pay those $5, we kind of did a video predicting the prices, and kind of Joe won, and we agreed that the winner chooses a charity that the loser will pay money for a charity of the winner's choice, and yeah, I gotta pay up. It is what it is. But before going into today's video, I wanted to mention that this video will go into our guests playlist. We have a guest playlist. We had 4 guests: Big Man Bakar, Reeve, Remy, FPL Nitro. So Calvin here is our 5th guest, so we're happy to have him here. It will be on this playlist. So if you haven't checked this playlist before, go ahead and enjoy it. And let's get into this video. On this video, we have a combined experience, I believe, of 37 years of FPL. Calvin is almost half of them, which is 15 years, and you can see his record here. Calvin, tell us, when did you start, how did you start, and how do you feel going 15 seasons in a row?
Well, I was only a 12-year-old penguin, should we say, 12 years old, and obviously I've not taken this game seriously, until I started getting into the community as an FPL Penguin in late 2018. But in the early days, I just started playing it on my own. Wasn't in any leagues or anything like that, and I just love football. I just football is everything to me, and Liverpool being my team in the background, and yeah, I just love stuff like this, fantasy football games, and it's just so much fun. And then when I've got older and going in leagues and stuff, and people that I know getting older from maybe school, something like that, or work, and then it's more good there, more competitive. So yeah, 15 years. I look back on that now. When you say 15 years, I'm like, God, I'm old now. I'm getting old. And I was only 12. I was only a little boy, but blimey, doesn't seem that long ago. I mean, 15 years. But yeah, it's been a long journey. But yeah, I've enjoyed it. Not missed any season. Every single season, I played it. Even at the end of the season, I can't wait till it's finished. I may have bottled a rank. I may have plummeted down maybe in the final 2 months. But yeah, I never give up playing this game. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's fun. It's good fun.
Yeah, it's absolutely. That's the point of this game. It's basically to have fun as much as possible, right? And definition of fun is different between you and I, or Joe and I. So everybody is having fun in their own way. And what I like about, I watched some of your videos before coming on, and what I like about you personally as a person when it comes to the FPL community, it's like you're a combination of Joe and I. So it's like you've been playing for so long, but you're kind of not as boring as I am. You go for the Maverick picks, as we will see about your latest draft. You have a lot of Maverick picks. It's not template. It's not boring like usually where I go. This is basically Joe, how he does things. He tries to find those gems. I actually watched your last video, so everybody, if you haven't watched this video, it's about the gems and the differentials that you can find in the FPL game currently. So how do you think that game has changed from 15 years ago till today, Calvin?
Oh, blimey. Obviously, it's kind of been the same old chips, hasn't it? Back in the day, I don't know if you guys, it was only quite a couple of years ago, the all-out attack chip that used to be in it, where you could play like your midfield, a whole of your forwards as well. And Yeah, that was one of them as well. I think not it's changed its layout and stuff. It's I would have hoped for this season, and we'll probably talk about it a bit more. Maybe they could have introduced. I think they've got like a wild card for the World Cup as well, something like that going on. But I was hoping for this season, maybe to make it less boring, maybe to introduce something new, something a bit more fresh besides the new fancy, well, which is nice and something fresh, a nice background. But yeah, for the last couple of seasons, it's slowly got better, but it's still the same game that we all know and love, that we're all still going to play. I don't know what your guys' thoughts are. What do you think? You guys playing for quite a while. What's your thoughts on any improvements? Like what changes have you seen?
Yeah, I actually haven't been playing nearly as long as you guys. You guys blow me out of the water, but I haven't seen as many changes across the board within the game, because when I started it kind of was already what it is right now. I guess the wildest changes, or in comparison to other fantasy games, is just the fact that we're getting essentially a free wild card for the World Cup break. We've gotten a wild card in the past when things were crazy, and then we also got a extra free hit last year. I feel like, and I casually play other fantasy games from time to time, which clearly doesn't help my rank in those situations. I feel like other fantasy games are just kind of like, this is what you get, work with it. If something happens, if the whole league lights on fire, tough luck. But yeah, I mean, from my experience, I don't really necessarily have a hard example of like, hey, the game has changed since I started, because it's always been FPL like it is today. Doc, what about you, man?
I think it changed a lot, because I remember, for example, we talked about it in the last video, Joe, that the bonus system, for example, it was like the man in the stand, and usually Rooney and those kind of players used to get all the 3 bonuses regardless of what they were doing. I'm a Manchester United fan, so I was watching a lot of Manchester United matches, and Rooney was the best player in the game, and then all of a sudden he gets the 3 bonuses. And it was kind of the bonus point system that they currently have, for example, changed. We didn't have many chips. I think we only had 1 wild card, no vice captain, so if your captain blanks, tough luck. So a lot of changes have happened. Remember, Joe, I always tell you I have kind of the memory of a goldfish. Once the season ends, I kind of don't remember what happened. So yeah, the seasons have ended, but it has changed a lot. The graphics, like whenever I go back and kind of have nostalgia, oh my God, yeah, like I had Lampard or I had Gerrard, and it was nice having those players. Like I had Ronaldo in his first time with United. I had Thierry Henry. It was nice to have Thierry Henry on FPL. It was amazing. So yeah, the game has changed. So Calvin, since all those changes happened, let's assume someone is playing FPL for the first season. What's the main advice you would give someone after 15 years experience?
Yeah, well, just have fun. But if you're like planning a team going into game week 1, don't overthink as much. I don't think, maybe set yourself a good target. Top 1 million isn't a bad one for your first season. I know plenty of mates out there who played their first season last season, and they were, finishing top 1 million. That's very good, and that's a good start. That is. Just don't overthink. Like making your team, just watch games closely. Pre-season games that we know are coming up in this month, a lot of them, which I'll be trying to keep a track of, all of them. Just keep a good eye on them. Sometimes friendlies aren't the greatest thing to keep an eye on, because there's maybe some gems might burst out of there, but just keep a good look out on the big names and see how they do. Haaland, for instance, how's he going to do? He's playing the Community Shield against Liverpool as well just before the season, so that's going to be interesting, a more competitive game. Just do a bit of the eye test, just watch players carefully, stick to template first. I probably say stay with the crowd first, go for those high ownership players, of course. Don't go without Salah and all that, because Salah, Kevin De Bruyne, they're like the GOATs of the Premier League. They've been going for the last couple of years. They've proved why they're the best, one of the best players in the world and the best players to have. Just enjoy the game. Don't panic. Don't take so many hits, transfers, because I know a few of mates I've had, they've taken, even I've done it. When I first started, I do remember vaguely taking loads of hits. I didn't think it mattered. I know there's a lot of -4s and stuff, but when you really think about when you get older and the more experience you have, and you want to gain in that rank, and gain an advantage over those people, those rivals of yours, don't panic, because if you panic, you're going to start taking hit after hit after hit after hit, and you're going to do it every week, and then things like that. So just stuff like that, advice.
Absolutely agree with that, especially with the hit points. Like, the hits are really a huge element of the game. Joe and I, we talked a lot about it on the channel. The hits kind of differentiate. If I can get the team that you have with one less hit, I'm already ahead of you. So kind of this is the point of the hits. So I absolutely agree. Joe?
Yeah, as you know, if you've watched the channel at all before, for our viewers, I'm pro hits, but it's a lot harder to advocate for pro hits when you're starting out in the game and you don't fully understand the concept of what's going on, how the point system works, who's the best players. And something else that I want to plus one that you had mentioned, Calvin, was that watching or keeping up with the preseason matches, because new players won't know this, but we had a little fellow named Lord Lundstrom that came through, 2 years now, is a little no known player, was 4 million I think at the beginning of the season, and he was scoring goals and getting assists like crazy in the preseason. Everybody kind of turned their heads. We have no clue who this guy is. Should we be looking at him? Picked him up, brought him in our team, and he rewarded us with tons of points for the managers that brought him in, and now he's a legend in FPL. You hear Lord Lundstrom in and out of conversations here and there all over the place.
Yeah.
Totally agree. And if I can plus one that as well, just do not be stubborn, because the fact that you mentioned Lundstrom, I remember when he played his first couple of games and I think he got an attacking return. I was kind of stubborn. I'm like, 4 million from Sheffield. No way I bring him in. I'll find my own gem, especially seeing he jumped to 4.1 and I was like, no, that's it. He's too expensive for me. I'm not bringing him in. So I suffered during that first 7 game weeks kind of when I was stubborn. So my advice would be, building on all those advices, just don't be stubborn. If a player is performing and they have the fixtures, bring them in. You don't have to be different in every single player.
I think with Lundstrom as well, because obviously I think FPL making that mistake, put him as a defender in the game, and he was playing as a midfielder for Sheffield United. And, I remember owning him for, was it the Burnley game? I think it was the Burnley game, and he returned big in that game. I'm sure it was Burnley. And but yeah, I was over the moon with that, and he was such a lovely gem. Sheffield United in their first season were fantastic. They had like Henderson in their goal and stuff, and they just looked like a tight unit. I know the following season didn't look great after that, but their first season they looked very good. Made it hard for teams to probably break them down.
All right, everybody, building on this, we're going to have a look at Calvin's latest draft. He's been preparing a lot of drafts, I'm sure, like all of us, and this is kind of his latest draft. And I told you at the beginning of the episode, Calvin is the Maverick manager. He finds those differentials, he finds those kind of gems that I'm probably going to steal one or two from him, but for now, here's his team on the screen. Calvin, you want to go through it?
Yeah, I'll find it now because I bloody forgot it myself. Right, here we go. Yeah, I've got it's the one with Johnson up front, isn't it? So we've got Mendy, Trent, Justin, Mings, Tomiyasu, Diaz, Kevin De Bruyne, Bruno, Salah, Kane, and Johnson. Then we've got Forster, Patterson, Andreas, and Greenwood. Yeah, this is actually my 4th draft, believe it or not. I'm trying not to overthink. I'm probably going to give it another 2 weeks until I kind of mess around a bit more, when more pre-season matches are happening and stuff, and transfers. So then I get a bit more of a good idea instead of trying to wind myself up and overthink too much. Yeah, so the whole thing, start off with the goalkeeper, Mendy. Yeah, Mendy coming out of 5 million. And then you've got I usually like the idea of going for 2 4.5 million goalkeepers, but I kind of want to go for Mendy now and have that set and forget, because Chelsea's fixtures are Everton, Spurs, Leeds, Leicester, Southampton, West Ham, Fulham, and in the first 6 or 7 game weeks. And I think Mendy could possibly still good if they do improve that defense a bit more and bring in a Rudiger, replacement as he's gone to Real Madrid now. I think Mendy could be a good set and forget. I think if I start bringing in like Raya and Sanchez and I think I'll just start winding myself up, whole rotation, who's better to start for game week 1. And then I think don't overthink it, just throw in Mendy and just leave him in there. I know it's an extra 0. Well, it's going to be the same anyway, whatever tactic I do. But I think Mendy's a better one. Forster on the bench. I don't know what's happening with Hugo Lloris. I thought he was probably going to leave Spurs or something, contract or something like that. If he was going to leave, maybe they would have still signed another goalkeeper along with Forster. But I'm going to put Forster on there. I know Steele from Brighton's there, 4 million, but I kind of would think between Steele and Forster might get some opportunities. For Spurs might do. There's rotation if Lloris stays or if he doesn't. So at the moment I've gone for Forster. Backline defensive wise, gone for Trent, Justin, Mings and Tomiyasu. Only one premium. Yeah, no Chelsea at all. Well, Chelsea like Chilwell and James, I mean. I don't think that's necessary at the moment, especially for their price, and there can be rotation, sometimes control. I know what they can offer, attack and returns and stuff, but I've got Mendy in there. I've got that Chelsea, defensive asset. Justin and Mings, look at stats. I think Mings got some good returns, goals and assists. He's got Bournemouth, Everton, Palace in the first 3. And I think they signed, what's his name? Diego Carlos from Sevilla. Could be a good defensive partnership with him and Mings. Only time will tell. Pre-season will be interesting. Justin, he's in there too, 4.5. I think a lot of people, however you want to play it, premium defense, all that premium defense, will look at those cheapest chips, 4.5 million defenders, which is nice. Justin, usual regular starter. There is Castagna, there is Ricardo Pereira, but I think Justin has just about nailed his place at left back. Brentford, Arsenal, Southampton, Chelsea, United, so on. So I think, well, as I'll talk about bench as well, but there'll be some good rotation there, bench one of them and all that. Tomiyasu, Arsenal, the only Arsenal I've got, I did have Jesus in my previous draft, I think I sent to you earlier, but I wasn't happy with that. It's all about pre-season for me. See how he settles in. It might change, see how he does in pre-season, but Crystal Palace, Leicester, Bournemouth, Fulham, Villa, I think Tomiyasu, 4.5, could be decent. They have got Palace, who they were hammered 3-0 or something, but I'd probably go for that, see what happens on Friday night. Midfield-wise, gone for the double up. Mo Salah, we don't need to talk much about him. I mean, he's Mo Salah, isn't he? He's going to be high ownership. I think everyone should have him. Captain, slap the captaincy. That's not going to change. The captaincy, that's going to be on Mo, definitely, 100%. I'll say that now. Diaz, to me, with him and Darwin Núñez, I'm going to wait and see how he does. I know I've already got a triple up on with my Liverpool at the moment, but I feel more safe with Diaz. Diaz, fantastic in his half season with Liverpool, what he contributed for Liverpool, settled in straight away. He's at 31% at the moment, over 1 million managers, but at 8 million, I think he's been underpriced, in my opinion. I think he's been underpriced slightly. And I think he's still a good one to go for. My team, Liverpool, I think it's going to be City and Liverpool up there again, fight for that title, very, very close. Diaz, Mane's gone now, but I see Diaz becoming the new Mane, being a regular starter, how Mane was. Jota and Firmino will be in there, but I think Klopp will slowly want to have a front three of Diaz, Núñez and Salah being that permanent front three, starting nearly every game for us. So I think Diaz still a good one to go for. Kevin De Bruyne, why I haven't gone for Haaland. It's like Jesus, wait and see. Pre-season, Kevin De Bruyne, like it is Salah, they're both the GOATs of the Premier League. You saw what Kevin De Bruyne was against Wolves last season. I didn't have him. I didn't have him that game, and that absolutely killed my rank. But yeah, I feel more confident going with him, and he's proven. He's proven in the Premier League what he can do. There could be a great link up with him and Haaland, but we'll have to see in pre-season and how they click, should we say. Bruno's an interesting one. Bruno, I can't pronounce his surname. I'm going to call him Bruno. We don't talk about Bruno on the song. Yeah, he's got Notts Forest. He's got Brighton. I'm intrigued. They've improved that defence a bit more. They started doing well. Bruno had a good half season, 5 goals and 1 assist with Newcastle. I've got a lot of Newcastle mates, and he settled in as well, just like Diaz at Liverpool. and he's kind of playing like not like the CDM, but a bit more forward, a bit more as just like a centre mid, more attacking. And I still think Bruno, even for 6 million, could still be a lovely one to go for. And the way Newcastle still got another 4 weeks to keep building that team of theirs, all that money, I still think they're going to make another couple of signings in there, and that's going to make me even want to have Bruno more, because it's going to make the experience in there more attacking. It's going to make Newcastle look even more stronger. Like I said, pre-season will be a big one, signings and everything. But they got Forest, Brighton, then they got City. So money versus money, should we say? So that's going to be interesting. Wolves, Liverpool, and then it gets easy after Liverpool with West Ham, Bournemouth, Fulham, and Brentford. But Bruno, I think I'd like to have him. I'd like to have that Newcastle attacking asset for sure, and see what they do. I know some people are opting for maybe Callum Wilson, but I like Bruno. See what he does. Up front, I've got Kane and Johnson. It's the whole thing of going with either Kane or Son, but I definitely want to have one of them. I know some people are thinking of maybe going for this strategy, going for Kane in game week 1 and then moving him on to Haaland in game week 2, because we know City's fixtures look after game week 1 look amazing. So some people are using Kane as like a placeholder, and I don't hate that. I actually like that, but that will then leave me without the Spurs assets. But I wouldn't mind. I definitely want to have a Spurs attacking asset, either Kane or Son for the first game week for sure. Johnson's in there, going for that little gem. 6 million. A lot of newly promoted forwards are always priced at 6 million, and I think he's done so well with what he's done with Wales in the UEFA Nations League last month as well. Been following that. He's just such a really good player to watch. He's got such a great future ahead of him just by looking at him, and he's going to be snapped up by a Premier League club very, very soon, probably next summer. And yeah, they're buying some good players. I can't pronounce the name. The lad who's at Union Berlin, former Liverpool player. They got him up front. They got Surridge as a backup striker as well. They've built that defence. Nico Williams could be a 4 million gem. I'm going to talk about him as well. Henderson in there, like we talked about. He was a rock at Sheffield United. And I think they're making some good, decent signings. They don't look rushed. They look like, when you look at the stats of these players they're bringing in in their career, they look decent. And I think honestly, Notts Forest could be maybe the next Leeds or Sheffield United or Brentford, how they were in their first season, and surprise a few teams. I mean, they did beat Leicester, Arsenal in the FA Cup last year, so it's going to be interesting for sure. And then just finally talk about the bench as well. Forster we talked about. Patterson will most likely become Nico Williams. It's only stuck like that obviously because of triple Liverpool, and I can't put him in now. But he's 4 million to 4 million. Williams hopefully then a regular starter for Forest. Then I've got that on my bench. Andreas heavily linked with Fulham. Probably a new replacement for Carvalho, who's gone to Liverpool. 4.5, a lot of hype behind him. He could be a regular starter as well. And then you got Greenwood on there, Sam Greenwood. He's probably not going to start that many games. He's probably obviously behind the pecking order, behind Gelhardt and obviously Bamford. But yeah, that's my team. That's my latest draft, should we say? And it might change slightly, but I kind of do like it. But the next few weeks will be something, will be important, obviously with pre-season transfers and stuff. But yeah, that's my team, my draft.
I really like the team that you put together. I've been definitely trying to figure out how to get that threemium fit in there. I'm not looking currently at KDB. Mine's Son, and the forward is a wash between Kane and Haaland, but I'm a Son fanboy. I feel like it'll be wrong if I start the season without Son in my team. But then I also look at your defense and I'm like, those are great defenders. But I want to spend 40 million on my back line. So I don't know how to spend 40 million on my back line and then 42 million on 3 more players. Yeah. I like what you have set up. You have Johnson in there, which I've shout out a couple times. I definitely like that. And Bruno G is I know Neto is also one of the guys in there, but it seems like there's a vacancy between like 5 million up, not including, but up to 8 million almost as far as players. It's like there's decent players in there, but they're guys that aren't going to play quite as often. So yeah, the man Bruno G, he's definitely somebody to look at, and I've thrown in a couple of my tinkerings, and Neto I haven't done because there's too much online hype behind him, and I refuse to follow the online hype because Doc hates it when I don't. Even if it's good hype. But yeah, no, I definitely like this team that you got set up. I would probably take out Mendy and put in a 4-5, but I also don't do the rotating goalkeepers, so it's not like it would save you any money there. Where Mendy can definitely handle the whole season himself, where I'm like, yeah, throw in a 4-5, it's fine. Even if they're in a crappy defense, they'll get so many shots, they'll have saves for days. Like, I think Raya had the most saves, or second most saves last season, next to Allison, I think I heard. But, which was stunning, because I'm like, I don't think Allison has taken that much. But it was like definitely a better goalkeeper that he was compared against. And I'm like, I thought that defensive line was way better than that. But, no, I love the team. Doc, what do you think about it?
I absolutely love it. Like once I saw the team, and I'm like, okay, there's something missing, and it was like Haaland. So I even texted Penguin, and I asked him, like, where is Haaland? Like, KDB over Haaland. It's very interesting. Let's talk about it in the video. So he kind of explained why, but now looking at the team more, I'm thinking going big at the back is kind of what's different this season than any other of the seasons that we had before. Like before, usually the price points were like 7, 5, and then 2 4.5s and a 4. So for the past 14 seasons, it's been almost like this. So all of a sudden, everybody going 5 at the back, big, or at least 4. So Calvin, what's the thinking behind that? Why are you trying to kind of move the money to the front more than the back, as most people are doing over Twitter now?
Well, I just want to add as well that I'm planning to save this team as well. It's got about 0.5 million in the bank to spare. That's how I did it last season. I just mention that as well, because also with price rises, price changes, because so it's always good to have that extra, well, less than a million. I'm not going to say save a million, but 0.5 million I feel is good to have in the bank as well, to save for some price changes early in the season. Yeah, the reason I've gone big up front, I think it's going to be all about the midfield again. You know, once again, you've got some good players. I know Bowen's at 8.5 million. To me, that's kind of pushing it. I personally feel it's pushed it a bit. They pushed it a bit with put him at 8.5 million with Bowen. But with the reason, I don't know. I think with defense now, I don't think it's necessary to going into game week 1 with a full-on premium defense. In the past, I was one of them for years. I've gone for premium defense, but this season I've kind of gone. I'm kind of thinking of going template, but then I kind of want to go like off that template with some gems, some like kind of not follow the crowd, but still keep those, you know, high ownership players in there. Mo for instance. But yeah, with like Justin and Mings and Tomiyasu, I think there can be good rotation there. I want to have a bit of fun, save a lot of money for that. Where all the points are going to come from, but you know where the big points are going to come from. I mean, you know, Chelsea aren't necessarily that tight at the back. I know I've got Mendy in there. You know, there could be teams like, I don't know, and anyone. I know I haven't got Cancelo in there, but I think there was something when I found Andy, Let's Talk FPL's tweet. It was a few days ago, and he was putting out, he said, like, I think he was talking about Reece James and Chilwell, you know, 1 million less than Cancelo. I know they're all premiums, but like Cancelo doesn't seem to be necessary. I don't think Cancelo is necessary. Like it's kind of hard to explain why I've gone for this, but I kind of want to go for this approach. Just having the cheap 4.5s, and then there's good rotation with Nico Williams and Andreas on there. And I just think it's boring, should we say? Just having, I know the premiums obviously good, probably more likely than what I've got in the back line, like, you know, James, Chilwell, and all that, and they offer more attacking returns. We know what James can do on his day, Chilwell, what he can do, Cancelo. But I kind of this season don't want to play it boring, but it's kind of like I'm not playing it as safe, but I kind of want to have a bit more fun but kind of be sensible with it and bring in the players that I know that are going to bring in, the big points, hopefully. But yeah.
So looking at the defense, it's absolutely not bad because looking at the fixtures, I'm a fixtures guy in general, and kind of I tinker with the fixtures difficulty and make them the way I like them, kind of what I think it's best as a fixtures difficulty whenever I see a ticker. So I was playing around with the ticker yesterday and I looked at the first 4 game weeks because kind of this is when really, I don't know, in my language we say your hands start scratching. Basically, you really want to use the wild card around the game week 3, game week 4. So I usually plan for 4 game weeks in the beginning of the season, and Arsenal are on top of that ticker and Aston Villa are second on that ticker. So that's what's interesting, that I'm not seeing any Aston Villa assets in a lot of people's Twitter teams, and I'm surprised because they are second on the ticker. So Tyrone Mings there makes absolute sense. Tomiyasu makes absolute sense. Justin, if he plays 38 games and Leicester are out of Europe, they don't have Europe this season. So if he plays, you don't even need him to play 38 games. You just need him to play the first, let's say, 10 games, right? And they have decent fixtures. So I absolutely agree with this kind of defense because it explains itself. I really like it, and I had a draft kind of to go back to the old days, try to get those cheap defenders and just attack the forwards. And it wasn't so much different, and I really like Joe.
So I had a couple questions for you here. Maverick to Maverick. Doc, you can leave if need be.
I'll have my coffee.
Looking at your cheaper defenders sitting in your back line there, little Maverick idea. I know you said no Raya, but what about a Janssen or something like that? Brentford do have some pretty nice fixtures and are pretty cheap right there.
Yeah, because you were mentioning my video, my budget gem, and I had Janssen in that. Yeah, I think Janssen's still a good one to go for, of course. But the Leicester, who's Leicester got? Because like Leicester, they've got, like I said, Brentford, Arsenal, Southampton, Chelsea. Like I said, there's going to be probably rotation if I did stick with this team, and the players on the bench like Nico Williams and Andreas, there'll be some rotation as well. So Brentford's, I don't know who they've got. Let me have a look on my phone. They've got Leicester, Manchester United, Fulham, Everton, Palace, Leeds. So they've got a decent run. Start of game week 3, Brentford's, and yeah, it's one to consider for sure. Maybe having a Brentford defender in, maybe to have one in, but at the moment, I do like this team. Maybe it's one of them to have a good think about. But yeah, Janssen, like I mentioned in my video, is definitely somebody to watch. Yeah, a nice gem, should we say, a nice budget gem. And what he did last season, returns wise, he's a big character, big guy, and I think I no doubt again that he can't do it. He can still do it. He can still do what he did, replicate what he did last season, and bring it to this season.
Yeah, and I completely agree with what you said, and I think even if they seems like they won't have Eriksen on the team, but even if their attack does struggle a little bit, Janssen was part of what was left of their attack. It seemed like their defenders were kind of carrying the team across the finish line before they had Eriksen in there and kind of a playmaker to take a little pressure off the attack there. And then one more question for you is everybody, the whole world is going for Perisic, right? What are your thoughts on bringing in Doherty instead of Perisic? Because everybody loves Perisic. Doherty's 0.5 cheaper, and I think it was Big Man put out a tweet that said Perisic had only made it to 60 minutes in like 15 out of 32 games last season. What do you think about that? Not necessarily for your team, maybe for your team, but just an in general topic there.
Yeah, I think Perisic is 5.5, isn't he?
Yeah.
5.5. Yeah, and Doherty's, I'm just looking at his stats, at 5 million.
Yep.
And 2 goals, 5 assists last season for Doherty. I think there's so much hype to get with this Perisic. Like, he's an absolute legend and in the game. He's about 33. He played under Conte into Milan, attacking left wing back. I think there's so much hype, and this is what I'm saying about these unproven players like Haaland, for instance. We have to wait and see how he does. And you know, you got like Jesus, who's at a new club now, and is he going to be a regular starter? Perisic, you know, you got Sessegnon there still. I mean, how, you know, he's obviously going to keep that formation what he's got and 2 attacking wing backs, and then he's. But if I had to choose, if I had to choose between him or Doherty, I'd go for Doherty just because he's cheaper, and what he's proven already, what he's fitted in straight away with the returns already for Spurs. I'd rather go for Doherty if I had to choose. But with Perisic, I don't get the hype. I think it's a wait and see with him. It's a wait and see. It's like with Haaland for me, wait and see. Manchester United assets, I know Ronaldo's more likely to go as well. See how they do with Sancho, Rashford. It's all these players. It's wait and see for me, like Jesus as well. So I kind of this season with the approach not want to like dive in with these new signings and stuff until they properly prove themselves. Now, fair enough, Johnson, new to the league, Brennan Johnson. I've seen him do some pre-season, but he's such an exciting player to watch. So if I can go for a draft and have one exciting, maybe unproven player in my team, I'd go for him. I'd go for Johnson at it because I'm intrigued to see how Forest do. But with Perisic, no, I won't be touching him, even if his ownership's like 60 odd percent, 50% at least, or something like that. I'm not going near him. I don't know what you guys think.
So regarding Perisic, I tend to agree kind of. I think he's being overhyped. I have so many drafts without him, not because of the price point, it's just because I like my players who start and kind of I don't have to worry much, because when you have 3-4 players in your FPL team that are possible rotation, are possible injuries, that injury prone and stuff, it's a bit difficult to manage this team, and you tend to take too many hits at the end just because this player didn't feature, and you're not sure if they're going to start next game, and then you're not sure about them starting the game after, so you're like, I'm just going to transfer them out and save myself the headache, and you end up transferring them out and then they hold. So it's kind of a bit of a frustrating on those kind of players. So I don't disagree with Perisic, but if he plays and he secures his place, let's say, I think he's a good buy, but I don't think he should be as hyped as he is. Yes, he's very attacking. He has this 5 stars weak foot for my FIFA fans out there, but he's an amazing attacking player. But for FPL, I like my minutes. I like the players that kind of I don't have to worry about their minutes next game and the game after and the game after. It's just a bit worrying. So you mentioned about Johnson, so I want to build on that and ask you basically my final question for this video is, let's say you had to choose one player, kind of a differential or a hidden gem, that will be the highest score, one of the highest scorers. Like for example, last season we had Matip, who was like one of the highest scoring defenders, who was a kind of a surprise. We had Bowen. So give me a name that you think kind of will go under the radar and all of a sudden everybody will pick them up, but at the end they will score like 150 points plus.
Oh, wow. You put me on the spot there. I
come
think
up with
Johnson will
something else.
do. I think Johnson will do go. I think Forest will be, like I said earlier, Sheffield United, Leeds, and Brentford in their first seasons. And I think this is a lad to definitely watch. I don't know how many FPL points he'll get. I can't really think on the top of my head. There's the likes of Harry Wilson, who was, I know, Championship and Premier League, different levels. But with Harry Wilson, he was getting a lot of goals, a lot of assists as well, linking up well with Mitrovic. I think he was on the set pieces, Harry Wilson. Maybe him at 6 million. I don't know. What do you...
I absolutely love Harry Wilson, because you mentioned about the spot kicks or the free kicks. He has some sweet free kicks. Like if you look at the way he plays, it's beautiful, and I absolutely enjoy the way he's playing. Well, you're putting me on the spot now. Like I'm trying to think of.
There you go.
Uno reverse. So I'm trying to think of a specific player. Joe, maybe something until I come up with somebody.
Okay, so the on-brand pick will be, as long as he's healthy, my boy Christian Pulisic.
Okay, guys, thank you for watching. I'm leaving this video. I can't take with it.
See you later, bye.
Yeah. No, I mean, we've seen him perform under Chelsea, but his issue is he has to be healthy. And the man is rotated, and he's one of their heavily rotated off the bench guys, especially in the Premier League. but you take him to the Champions League and Chelsea struggles to score, and he'll score one in like the 92nd minute to take Chelsea to the next round. So it's one of those things where he has to stay healthy, he has to get game time, otherwise the man's going to be worthless. Then if we're looking at maybe a newcomer, I would say probably I would like to see Johnson. I agree with Calvin on this one. I think Nottingham Forest are building a really good core back and midfield line, and they just brought in a partner striker to kind of pair with Johnson. I don't know if he's going to score every single goal, if he's going to be the leading scorer on the team, but I think there's potential there that he can definitely bring points to our FPL teams for sure.
I think I found my player. I'm gonna put my neck out there. I don't know how you're gonna feel about it, but I would bet on, not my house, but I would bet a bit on maybe might be Jadon Sancho. If Manchester United click at 7.5 with Ten Hag, I can see him being a great differential. 7.5 is ridiculous pricing if they tick. Well, if we tick. So I'm gonna put my neck out there and say Jadon Sancho.
I'm not.
Like I said, sorry. No. Like I said earlier, just to add about Manchester United. You know, with Ronaldo more than likely to go, Ten Hag from Ajax, could he get Manchester United back to what they once were, a much, much better team with confidence, less egos? It will be intriguing. He's got a lot of work to do. He's got his work cut out. He probably want to bring his own players in, obviously, and then it's going to be intriguing. Sancho, fantastic with Borussia Dortmund. First season for Manchester United, not great. But I'd hate to see that, even though he's gone to Man United and his career, but I'd hate to see, because he's such a good young player, Sancho. And I don't like to see someone so young like that, his career just plummet like that. If he can get the very best out of Sancho, that'd be fantastic for you, Manchester United, and all that. Sancho's a wonderful player, absolutely fantastic. And you've got some good young players in there. Alanga in there too. Rashford is still relatively in his mid-20s. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. You've got rid of Pogba now, and I think we could see, once you get rid of Ronaldo and he brings in some new signings, we could see a much better Manchester United next season. Slowly, it will work. You know, it takes time, but a lot different to last season. So yeah,
I completely agree with that. I think that a new manager can definitely change everything, and kind of adjusting the lineups, whether it be bring in new players, Ronaldo leaves, whatever it is, can definitely help. I mean, my team, the Spurs, look, they were struggling with managers for 2 years, and then they brought in Conte, and now all of a sudden they are one of, I think at the end of the season, they were one of the most attacking, if not the most attacking teams in the league under a traditionally defensive manager, which I think the potential's there. I think if Ronaldo leaves, that frees up Bruno Fernandes to kind of do what we had grown to love about Bruno Fernandes in his first season at Man U. And I think it frees up the young players to kind of do a little bit more of their own thing, where whether it's a thing or not, hey, this is Ronaldo's space. Let Ronaldo have this space. You guys don't come into it. And I think I'm interested to see what they do. I'm really interested to see what kind of grows out of Manchester United. So I don't think Sancho's a bad shout, and like Calvin said, you know, the Rashford and Elanga, the other young players there, could definitely do extremely well too.
just quickly add that I don't get the Neto hype. We don't have to talk about that as much, but yeah, with Neto, I'd same as Perisic. It's wait and see. But Neto, I don't get the hype with him. I know a lot of people want him in. He's cheaper than Bruno G. I don't know. It's Wolves at the end of the day. They don't score that many goals. Defensive wise, how they're going to look without Seiss in there. They've got quite a bit of building to do. Maybe a better striker in there. Well, Jimenez obviously coming away from that head injury on the recovery from it, and but yeah, Neto is a bit of a weird one for me. Just adding that as well in the video.
I think the main appeal for Neto is basically his price. There is no one that we know of at this moment that it's better at this price range, like 5.5 and below. It's just, I think that's the main appeal. I think usually we have other players emerge during preseason, and I think the hype will decrease with Neto. Currently, he's in my current draft, I have to admit, but it's just kind of the price point. As you know, on my Twitter, I talk a lot about the structure of how to kind of structure, and he's this just 6 million and below price point placeholder, let's say.
For sure.
All right, everybody. We hope you enjoyed this episode with FPL Penguin Calvin. I'm going to put all his socials down in the description. Please drop a follow. We absolutely enjoyed talking to him today. It was a pleasure having you on. Thank you for taking this long to be with us. We usually record for half an hour. It's been over an hour now. So the time flew. We enjoyed our time with you. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you, lads. Thank you so much for inviting me on. And also, anyone that's watching this video, please hit the like button on this video and subscribe to these lads, absolute legends. And thank you again for having me on.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. It's always great. We always know that our guest videos are going to run a little long, but hey, we love talking with other content creators and people that share a specific set of knowledge within the FPL community. And in addition to like, subscribe ours, don't forget, go over to Calvin's channel for FPL Penguin. Like all of his videos. He deserves all the likes. Hit the subscribe button before you like it. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Calvin. It's been a pleasure.
All right. We'll see everybody on the next episode. Peace.
Peace.